WCLN 1170 Radio and Star Communications Channel 16 proudly present the We Should Know Show, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative. Now, here's your host, J.W. Simmons, as we consider closely what we should know.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. J.W. Simmons here. The name of the show is We Should Know. We're coming to you on Star Communications TV, Channel 16, WCLN Radio simulcast. We look forward to having you today to talk about a subject that's very important to you, very important to our economy, and can be a huge asset to the landscape of North Carolina, particularly southeastern North Carolina. Jordan Phasey is our guest today. Jordan, thank you for being with us. You're the founder and CEO of PHINITE.
Thank you, JW.
What we're going to do today, hopefully, is find out some details on what PHINITE is, the company, what created that. One of the things I read about you, and it's on your website, it says that you're a winning scientist and engineer. You were honored by the White House in 2016 for your solving the sludge problem, if you will. And that innovative thought also has won you some awards by the EPA. You came here via Australia, of which I want to talk about in the beginning a bit. But I just find your whole story interesting, and I want to get into both of those things. But the first part of the show, let's talk about Australia for a bit and where you came from in Australia, which is the northern part, in Darwin, which sounds like a lovely city to visit. So tell us a little bit about Australia. And if, for example, you're wearing your signature hat, which is huge. I've been trying to practice to say what that is in Australia, because when you look at the word, if you follow the syllables, it just don't work. So tell us about the hat thing first.
So my hat is an akubra, which is a sort of classic Australian, mostly cattle hat, but anyone who works outdoors wears a hat like that. Yeah. Where I grew up from in Australia is in the Northern Territory, which is really in the middle and right in the northern part. It's tropical. And if you've seen the movie Crocodile Dundee, that's where I grew up, in that northern part. We have two seasons, a monsoon season and a dry season. We get 5 feet of rain in 3 months, and then there's a drought for 9 months. And so my work there was to do the drinking water treatment for remote Aboriginal communities spread out across the Northern Territory of Australia. And that area, so the Northern Territory, it's a very remote part of the country. There are 260,000 people in an area twice the size of Texas. And the capital city has 160,000, and then the rest of the population is very spread out. And so my work was to go into these Aboriginal homeland communities and provide safe drinking water in that environment.
It's interesting when I saw that what you were doing there and some of the things you're doing, and I look at where we are right here today in eastern North Carolina, or North Carolina as a whole. We're looking at those same issues as it relates to safe drinking water. And I've had some folks on in the past to deal with this whole PFAS thing that I'm sure you're familiar with. And folks get very anxious when you start talking about their drinking water, because it's such a vital part of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you basically, in that world that you were in, it sounds a lot like parts of North Carolina, particularly with the seasons of the year, what we're facing now with the humidity. No surprise to you. You're comfortable with that. But for a decade or so, you've been here in this country, and you came up with I'm going to say a solution, but a major movement forward with something in animal waste. Now, we're known, there's some debate about which county has more hogs here, Sampson, Duplin or Bladen. I watched a clip you did in Bladen County with Bladen online, and I thought it was interesting the way you laid that out, because you actually were on site looking at some of the things you're projecting here. But tell us how critically important what you're doing is, not just for this area, but for multiple countries.
Yeah. So fertilizer is why we're here. So Phinite is a renewable fertilizer manufacturing company, and that's important because, post the Second World War, chemical or synthetic fertilizers were a major part of the Green Revolution that led to the enormous population growth that we've had post World War II. So we are now projecting between 9 and 10 billion people on the planet by the year 2050. The problem is that half the world's population now is alive because of synthetic fertilizer. Mm-hmm. It produces the food that they eat, and so about 4 billion people now are alive because of that. And the problem is that's an amazing achievement, but the problem is that all of the ingredients that go into fertilizer are not sustainably produced. Nitrogen fertilizer is made out of natural gas. It's made out of fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. And phosphate and potash fertilizers, the P and the K in NPK fertilizer, both of those are mined minerals that are mined out of the ground and then used to grow our crops. And in Australia, my work was to do the drinking water treatment in Aboriginal communities, and I became really passionate about food security and about finding ways to recycle and conserve these materials. And so in Australia, I developed a couple of technologies to mine the fertilizer present in sewage. Ultimately won an award at the White House from the US EPA for one of those technologies, and met some major livestock producers from North Carolina who said, hey, Jordan, we love what you're doing. Can you come to North Carolina and have a look at our farms? And my answer straight away was, sure. Yeah. Where's North Carolina?
Yeah.
But immediately I jumped on a plane and visited with them and learned about the need that the industry has. But there's really this the problem, and particularly about phosphorus, which is where the name Phinite comes from. Mm-hmm. Phosphorus is a finite resource. And we exist to make it renewable. The residuals that exist within swine lagoons have a lot of phosphate in them, and so they're a really sort of good raw material for recycling this material. From a big picture standpoint, the reality is that the world has used up most of the high quality phosphate resources that exist on the planet now. The United States is becoming increasingly insecure with respect to phosphate. Florida is where most of the phosphate that is used by the United States is mined, and the quality of those reserves is diminishing. And the problem with that is that it's really hard to produce the same high analysis fertilizer products that farmers are used to when the quality of the raw material declines. And the big picture issue here is that phosphate is really unequally held globally. 85% of the world's phosphate reserves exist in two countries, Morocco and China. And neither of those are in the United States. And so continuing to provide fertilizer to farmers and continue to feed our population requires new ways of finding and recycling these materials. And globally, animal manure is the world's single largest resource for producing renewable phosphate materials. Mm-hmm. In the United States, manure produced by animals in the United States could meet 40% of America's fertilizer demand. And right now, that resource is not being used as efficiently as it could be. animal farms in the United States lose the value of about $3 billion per year by not being able to really get those materials to farmland that needs it. And the overwhelming reason for that is because manure is wet and it's very expensive to transport to fields that need it. And so when I came to North Carolina and met with livestock producers here, they said to me, look, we know this material is valuable, but it's got so much water in it, you cannot cost effectively dry this material to make a dry product out of it. And so it ends up becoming like a problem instead of an opportunity.
It's becoming a hazard rather than a benefit.
Right. And so I got to work developing really like lack of access to low cost, low energy drying technology is the reason why manure is not recycled as efficiently as it could be. And so I got to work developing a drying technology, founded the company in 2018 and built our first scale drying system in Bladen County, North Carolina. And that project has been a big success and has given me a lot of credibility within the industry. And we are now at a point where we have developed our third generation technology that we are deploying widely. And we have now developed a profitable model to mine and manufacture fertilizer from manure.
We're going to take a break, but I want to continue the part about the third generation, because basically what we're laying out for folks to understand here is not only the journey of phosphate, but the journey of harvesting phosphate and the importance of it. Also, as folks come back, I want them to get a good picture here that we're talking about something besides what is often referred to as pig poop or what have you, or that terrible odor, and that now there's a transition period, and you can kind of help us understand what that is and where we're going from here. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. We're talking with Jordan Phasey, and it's critical that you hear this because it's got a bad flavor, but it's making a big difference in our society.
Welcome to Cork and Brew Roseboro, where you can enjoy your favorite coffee, fraps, smoothies, bakery items, sandwiches, and select beer and wines while reconnecting with friends and family. Sit down and enjoy the experience. Come on by and give us a try.
This year, when you get together with friends, we hope you have a great time. Just remember to drink responsibly and know your limits.
Let me have your keys.
And always have a safe way home.
See ya. Later.
Enjoy responsibly and always plan ahead.
At the Reedy Mark, we take pride in a unique, distinguished customer experience. We specialize in handcrafted cocktails, allocated bourbons, as well as gourmet signature food items exclusive to our menu at the Reedy Mark in Roseboro.
Looking for training that leads to a high-demand, high-paying career? Bladen Community College can help you get there. Enroll in our welding program and gain the skills and expertise needed to excel in the industry and secure a successful future. Explore our HVAC program, where you will learn to install and service energy-efficient systems to keep homes and businesses comfortable year-round. Learn more at bladencc.edu or give us a call to get started today.
The average American household has 17 devices connected to the internet. With more and more devices able to get online, you may need to increase your internet speed. Call Star Communications today and let us help you select the package that's right for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. J.W. Simmons, your host. Name of the show is We Should Know. Jordan Phasey is our guest today. Jordan, we're talking about something that oftentimes folks hadn't looked at on a granular level, but as you just explained to us in the first segment, phosphorus is not only a key element, but it's really a dangerous shortage in supplying something we all need, which is the soil to grow food in. And you've come up with your engineering background and expertise, you've come up with something that works, and not only works, you're creating a pattern here, as I'm hearing you talk, that it's safe to move. You're not one of these people that, we see with trucks on the road and there's slush everywhere and that kind of thing. You've got this figured out. So let's move to that point where we left off on the first part of the show to talk about how that's processed and how you pulled that together in this third generation. You've been doing it long enough now, you're going into generations, but this third generation, and how critically important it is for people that even don't farm, but they need to understand this.
Yeah, so what we do, so we are a recycling company at our core. We produce a dry, granular, certified organic fertilizer product from we call them hog manure residuals. The residuals of the manure after it has been broken down and treated by the lagoon. And so what we do is we use a dredging system that removes the very thick sludge that has accumulated in the bottom of these lagoons. We remove that material and we pump it using a concrete pump. This material is actually quite difficult to handle. It's very thick, very heavy. And so we pump it using a concrete pump into sealed tanker trucks. And then that carries the material from the farm to what we call sustainability clusters. These are drying facilities that are constructed within a community and take the material from farms that are within that community into this centralized facility where we dry this material. We have one project near Newton Grove, and then another project in Bladen County between Bladenborough and Dublin. We are constructing a project in Duplin County as well, but the location is not publicly available yet. And so what we do, the core technology behind our operations is our low-cost, low-energy drying system. And what that is really is a shallow concrete basin covered by a greenhouse. And inside that system is a robotic mixing device that we use to mix the material and help it dry. And so we take this material from farms, bring it to that facility, and then we load it into our greenhouses. And there are a couple of things that are really important about how this operation works. The first thing is that hog sludge does not smell. It has really no odor to it whatsoever. It's not hog manure anymore. It's a whole new thing. The anaerobic digestion process within the lagoons, most of the material that we are harvesting is more than 10 years old. And so it's been treated for 10 years to remove all of the odor and most of the bacteria that's within it. And so we take that material, we use sealed trucks, so there's no leakage, no spillage. We load that into the greenhouses, and then we dry that material within the greenhouses for usually about 30 days. We have fans inside the buildings that blow air over the material, and then the mixer, the robot, stirs that material several times every day to help it dry. And we dry the material from when we pull it out of the lagoon, it has the consistency of peanut butter, a very thick sort of paste-like material. We dry that until it has the consistency of Play-Doh. It still has moisture in it, but it's not liquid anymore. It's
still pliable.
Yeah. And so when we take that material out of the greenhouses and then we carry it to our processing facility, which is on Highway 24 near Turkey. The old Allen Canning building is where we manufacture our fertilizer. So we carry the material there, and then we granulate the material, dry it the rest of the way into a really special, very hard, dry, granular organic fertilizer product. And then we distribute that material nationally to organic farmers and co-ops all over the country.
So just to be clear for folks to understand here, we're talking the end product. You can literally take that in your hand and move it around, and there's no odor involved in that at all. And I think that what is going to be somewhat interesting to folks is that in the transportation process, unlike some other animal waste that we've seen and had problems in this area with, where trucks would have spillage and it would be, it'd be horrific for everybody. This is totally a complete different process.
Right.
Sealed and contained.
Yep.
The point that you made, I want to kind of step back to a bit, is that removing it from the lagoon. Now, a lot of folks have an idea of what a lagoon is, but it's basically a large kind of pond or swimming pool kind of thing. Animal waste goes in there, and this sediment goes to the bottom. What you're after in getting in there is that sediment at the bottom that has either started to or partially solidified.
That's right. Absolutely.
How hard is it to, and what kind of equipment do you have that goes in to actually dig that out? And how, I guess afterwards, the liquid part still has to be pumped on the land. So
Right.
There farmers can't do away with that. But to just get that out and move it into solid form, is that just a regular backhoe, or do you talked about a pump, a cement pump. Is that effective, or is there another step to this?
Yeah. So removing the material from the lagoon is a very challenging thing to do. So what we use is a floating dredging system that has a concrete pump inside it. And so we lower a pump head down into the bottom of the lagoon, and the concrete pump sucks that material out of the bottom of the lagoon while it's very thick, and then pumps it over to a storage tank that we keep on the bank. In that storage tank, we process and screen the material to help remove any impurities that we don't want in our fertilizer products. And then we transfer that material into trucks that then carry that away to our greenhouses. But this is a very novel process. No one has ever been able to make a dredge work pumping very thick material like this. We can pump peanut butter 1,000 feet. And that's a very hard thing to do.
So how deep, when we're talking about pumping the sludge out of there, how deep is that layer of sludge? Are we talking feet, so many inches? And how do you determine if the bottom of that lagoon and the material has, you've got all the material out of it, or do you just pump until you see something that starts looking like dirt rather than sludge?
Yeah. So farmers manage their lagoons very carefully. Every year they do a sludge survey where they measure the amount of material that's in the lagoon.
Okay.
And those surveys are reported to the environmental regulator, DEQ. And so we use those surveys to know the amount of material that's in there. But usually a lagoon has between 2 and 3 feet. That's the normal level. And we really target the bottom, say 12 inches of material. That's what we're looking for. And so we go and remove that material. We provide farmers with a sort of a maintenance program that allows us to manage the material in their lagoons and remove it from them according to the needs that farm has.
This sounds like a huge benefit to the farmer, to the grower, should I say. That grower historically would have to remove that sludge and then spread it in some way, which again increases, as I believe you referred to, as a kind of an overload in phosphorus in the soil. Right,
and even more than that, the benefit to the big benefit to the farmers is they get paid for the removal. And so we the way we work is we partner with farmers within the community. Farmers invest an amount of capital relative to the size of their farm in building the greenhouses that are necessary to service their farm. And then Phinite pays them a fixed guaranteed 10.8% return on that capital for a period of 15 years. And then alongside that, we provide a sludge removal agreement where we specify how much material we'll remove to keep their lagoons in good shape for that 15-year period as well. And so farmers are able to make money out of their material and also get their lagoon managed as well. And so it turns out to be a really a great win-win for both sides.
One of the things I want to do, we're going to take a break here in just a few seconds, but I want to really kind of drill into that a little bit so folks can understand it. And I'll use this phrase. It's one that's kind of common around here. It's called win-win. It's literally a win for the farmer. It's a win for Phinite in the sense that you can continue to maintain the operation and with the tremendous cost for equipment and obviously trying to get qualified employees to help you. So when we look at this to this point in the conversation, we're about halfway the show now, but it just seems to be there's a lot of logic here, and the logic that I'm hearing and that what you're telling us, it just makes good logical sense to take a look at this and to consider it. So when we get back, I want to kind of walk through that process again as to how it's removed, the benefit to the farmer, and then we'll kind of get into the future operations of the company. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. We're talking about hog waste, how it's now beneficial, and how you might want to get involved. We'll be back in a moment.
At Fisher's, it's not just about fashion. It's about exceptional service. Experience top-notch customer care and find your perfect look. Visit Fisher's today and feel the difference. Looking to refresh your home? At Clinton Appliance and Furniture, we've got everything you need to create the perfect space. We're here to help make your house a home with stylish furniture, appliances, flooring, design services, delivery, and repair. Visit ClintonAppliance.com to explore our selection or visit us at 401 Northeast Boulevard in Clinton. Shop local. Shop smart. Shop Clinton Appliance and Furniture.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. J.W. Simmons here, your host. We Should Know's on the air. We come to you on Tuesdays at 2:30, Star Communications TV, and also WCLN Radio, broadcasting in the eastern part of North Carolina. You can also pick us up on YouTube and some of the other social media platforms. We're talking today with Jordan Phasey. Jordan, if folks hadn't figured out in the first couple of parts of the show that you are not from around here, then they're either not listening or not looking at your hat. So your signature hat and your accent gives you away. So I want to thank you again for being here. This is just fascinating stuff to me, because as originally growing up as a farm boy, I'm always fascinated how the industry as a whole is changing. Now you're changing the dynamic of the swine industry, particularly hog waste. And it seems to me in a very positive format. And we're going to get into a little more detail on that as we're talking about it. But I just want to kind of ask the question, do you feel a lot of positive response from the hog growing folks in the area? Is things really opening up? And do you really have any real competition?
Yeah, we've found the North Carolina community to be amazing for us. They're incredibly hardworking, honest, and dedicated to conserving their land, and really are stewards of their land. And so that has been a great benefit to us with the program that we have that is designed to help farmers sustain their operations indefinitely. And so we've had great uptake from the community of some really outstanding people that have joined our programs and have helped us over the years to build the company to where it is now.
Do you find that as you're talking to farmers, that especially when you get into the part that they're part of a process, and basically your company is now saying, I want to get into this particular part, which is the sludge. I want to get into that. Not only, and this is the interesting part to me, and I'm sure somebody's going to either call or they'll post it online or something, but this part about it, you're actually paying them, and it's not for the waste, but it's for the phosphorus that is contained in the waste, and they're getting a financial benefit out of that. Right. It's almost like a godsend.
Right. Yeah, what we do is we pay farmers for the basically the drying facility that they construct in order to dry the material from their lagoons. And so farmers make a capital investment into the project that is enough to manage their farm, and then they get an attractive return on investment from that investment while we're processing the material through that building.
So it does seem to replicate the cooperative model in the sense that, yes, everybody pays a phone bill or a light bill, but at the same time, you're bringing them something that they're a part of that has a residual ongoing benefit to them. And this would be the removal of that waste. If you were not there, then they would have to come up with all kinds of creative ways to get rid of it, or it could get very nasty and then you'd have protesters everywhere. So you're giving them an alternative that is like very positive in a sense, and utilizing something that can benefit not only this country, but other countries.
Absolutely. Yeah, that really like a cooperative model is how it was designed. Legally, our sustainability clusters are not co-ops, but that's the vision that we had behind them in creating them. We call them sustainability clusters because they're designed to service the community of farms around each of those facilities to help sustain their farms into the future. The drying operations, they're really a bunch of greenhouses on a piece of land. We bring the material there, but because the manure doesn't smell, or the sludge doesn't smell when we bring it there, the clusters are just greenhouses. We try to keep them away from the road whenever we can, and to provide that sort of community benefit to assist growers within the community.
So when we look at those clusters, basically what I'm trying to wrap my head around is this idea that the cluster can handle so many farms. Do you add additional clusters as you need them? If other folks says, hey, you got room for me, and you say, well, maybe not in this cluster, but we're starting another cluster. Right. So if you've looked at, and I'm sure you have, you've looked at the volume of hog operations in 3 or 4 county area here. Is there adequate room for clusters? Is there like a peak number? Because what I've been told is that once a hog operation goes down, they decide farmer says, well, I'm not in it anymore, and they're just going to shut it down. There's no other hog operation going there. I mean, right. Hog operation, statutorily, I understand, is the number we got now. There's no more.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right. And there's certainly enough space for us to be able to service the entire swine industry in North Carolina. Our greenhouses are they're large greenhouses, but they're small compared to the number of farms that we have, and there's plenty of room available for them. We also one thing that farmers ask us when they're considering whether they want to join our program or not, they ask us, look, what happens if I, make this investment with you and then shut my farm down in a couple of years? And our answer is, well, as far as we're concerned, that actually doesn't matter that much. There's plenty of material in your lagoon that will continue to pay for our removal from there. So we'll continue to pay that farm for the 15 years that's within our agreement and continue to remove the material from their lagoons. And
even if they go out of business.
Yeah, because there's enough material in the lagoon now to sustain
residual material that you can keep.
Yeah, to sustain that extraction for that period of time. And if a farmer, and if they did go out of business, they might think about closing their lagoon. Well, that lagoon closure is a very expensive exercise. Our program would remove the expensive part of that closure by removing most of the sludge from it without it being a problem. And we would continue to pay the farm. We would continue to pay the farmer for the 15 years, whether their farm is in operation or not.
So that's amazing. I mean, this is the part of the conversation I wanted to have, because as I looked at some of the things you're talking about, I thought this sounds too good to be true. But for a person, and we're seeing that now. There's a lot of folks. I say a lot of folks, but there are folks out there that got into the swine business way back early, and now they've reached that point. Like many of us have reached the point where we're just kind of stepping back, and they want to step back, but nobody don't want to buy it. Maybe they don't have family there that wants to pick it up. And sometimes they just end up stopping. Right. So you just answered a critical question that I'm sure, I would probably get an email or something on, why didn't you ask him this? And the answer to that, and check me here if I'm saying this right, is that a farmer signs up with you and you're removing the phosphorus, the peanut butter from the bottom, and you're doing that, and all of a sudden, a year later, he signed up for 15 years. A year later, he goes, "I'm just shutting this down. I'm not gonna keep it going." You will continue that payment to him as long as you have the availability of that lagoon sludge.
And we will continue paying that farmer for 15 years. Regardless of what the sludge level is in their lagoon. So if we cleaned that lagoon out, let's say there wasn't any material left in there, that's okay. We would then use, we would use the capacity, the building capacity that farmer had. We would just use that somewhere else, and we would continue paying the farmer for that. And so there's no, We guarantee that payment for the full 15-year period, regardless of what happens on your farm.
But you would just basically continue to gather that, but you would have access to that facility.
Right.
Right on. I mean, would you necessarily need the houses or anything like that? Or
No.
just access to the lagoon
Exactly.
part?
That's right.
That, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. So we're going to go to break here in a minute. I want to just kind of set folks up for this last segment. Several of the things we've talked about, I want to give you plenty of time on this last part of the show to tag anything that we need to tag. A while ago, off air, we were talking a bit about employability and that kind of thing. I want to make sure folks understand that. But you've got the business plan, and obviously you got I can tell you got an engineering background, so you've done the engineering on this. You've got it figured out. This apparently not only hypothetically works, but experientially works. So you know it works. You've seen it happen. And if farmers are interested, we'll get a number from you and post that on the screen, or they can go to you got a pretty nice website up. They can go to your website. But I think this is phenomenal stuff. And going forward, farmers have, I think, for the most part, been looking for solutions rather than criticisms. And it's kind of, for me particularly, again, being from the rural landscape in eastern North Carolina, it's refreshing to me to get somebody to sit down and say, here's a guy with a solution, and it's a proven solution, and you're doing it now. It's not going to be tested. It's not futuristic. It's now. And I think the other part is that you mentioned that I want to kind of make sure as we go into the last part of the show that folks understand, you've actually taken a proven model, which is a cooperative model, and put it in place for dealing with hog sludge on hog farms. So what could be better? So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on the last part of the show. We're talking with Jordan Phasey. We're talking about PHINITE, a new company here that he's founded in the state, and it's apparently being pretty much populated. So if you're a hog farmer or a grower, you might want to reach out to him. We're going to be posting his contact information and website, so you can reach out and talk to him particularly about that. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
We find in life that some things just go together. Like peanut butter and jelly, cheese and crackers, steak and potatoes, and of course, milk and cookies. But the bottle and the throttle are never a good combination. Be smart. Be safe. Be responsible. Don't drink and drive.
How can your friend save you money? It's easy. Refer a relative, coworker, neighbor, or friend to Star Communications. Friend signs up for high-speed internet service. Friend's new account is confirmed. Friend gives your name to our service representative as the one who referred them to Star. You receive a $30 internet credit. It's just that simple. And even better, receive a $30 internet credit for every referral that results in a new confirmed account. High-speed internet from Star Communications. Refer a friend today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The name of the show is We Should Know. J.W. Simmons, your host. We're talking about hog sludge today, and we're talking with a gentleman that not only created some solutions, but he's the founder and CEO of PHINITE. Jordan Phasey, you the first parts of the show, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but we kind of get down to this last segment, and I want to make sure we, as the old saying here is, we dot the I's and cross the T's or what have you. So let's look at this from a sense of where we are now and going forward with you. We're going to be posting information on this show so folks can find your number. They can also find the website they can go to look at your website. They can probably also talk to existing farmers that's already signed up with you to make this happen. When you look at that now, there was one piece that you wanted to make sure we mentioned, and that's the employability thing. As your company grows, and it appears to be expanding pretty rapidly, talk to us about the kind of persons or individuals you need and what kind of skill set they may need to have.
Yeah, so we're building Phinite to be really an employer of choice within the community. We are looking for hardworking blue collar workers, people with a range of skills, mechanical skills primarily, truck drivers, equipment maintenance, equipment operation, but really hardworking, conscientious, and honest people who believe in innovation and want to try something new. And we want to give those people a great opportunity to come and join our team and build this company together.
When we talk to folks that are looking jobs and so forth, one of the things that oftentimes people tell me are they're looking for something that they feel comfortable is going to be sustainable for, quote, their career. What you're doing and how this is coming together so far, and you've got, like I said, almost a decade with this thing. Do you see this as a long-term thing that they can look at a career model rather than just, a few years doing this and I got to find something else?
Absolutely. There's, a lot of opportunity for people to grow within the company. We are a fast-growing company, and people who want to bite off that responsibility and really grow into a senior role within a place, we're absolutely the place for that.
We mentioned a cooperative model. I want to circle back to that right quick too. Now, do you have like the cooperative models in North Carolina particularly, well, in other parts of the country as well, have boards of directors and so forth? Do you also have that model as well?
So no. So our sustainability clusters are designed as multi-partner LLCs, but the management of the facility is still done by Phinite, and the control of the facility is done by Phinite. And farmers contribute capital to get the facility built, and then they are paid a sort of a guaranteed return from that, but they don't need to be involved in the day-to-day running of the operation. Exactly. And that's really a big advantage of what we do is that it really is like pushing the easy button for farmers when it comes to sludge management. The normal way of doing this is to sort of land apply this material on fields around your farm, but locating fields is really hard. And there are only 2 crop windows a year, in the spring and the fall, where you can actually spread this material. It also happens to be during the wettest time of the year, both times around. And so for a farmer, there's a lot of work involved in pumping their lagoons down to a low enough level so they're not just paying money to haul water. Mm-hmm. And if it's been a wet winter, trying to do that and sort of coordinate that time with the contractor and with your neighbours and on your own farm is a lot of work. With us, we can remove that material any time of year. We do not require the lagoon to be pumped down in order to be able to remove the material. And so it's a much easier way. And then once the material is gone from your farm, the farmer's responsibility is finished. We manage the operation of the greenhouse facilities and all of the logistics and manufacturing of the material.
And there's nothing now that exists that you're aware of that even compares to what Phinite's doing, not only in North Carolina. Are you looking to expand to other areas, or is this plant going to grow everywhere? Is this kind of... At
Phinite, we want to turn animal farms into the renewable fertilizer mines of the future. And that is a global vision for what we want agriculture to become. North Carolina is where we're starting this, but it's certainly not where we're going to end. And so we will expand these operations out of North Carolina, but right now we're really focused on getting everything working here. But in terms of competitors and things like that, the reality is that what we do is really hard. There is a reason why for the last 50 years, the sort of water management problem with respect to manure has not been solved. It takes a number of technical breakthroughs in multiple places to come together to produce this profitable model for recycling the material. And one of the most important is within the fertilizer product that we make. So we produce a dry, granular, certified organic fertilizer product that has the same handling properties as all of the synthetic fertilizer products that are being used now. So it has a really high crush strength and the product is not very dusty. And for organic fertilizers and carbon-based fertilizers, that's a really big deal. Most carbon-based fertilizers are really dusty and most organic fertilizers are really smelly. Most organic fertilizer is made from poultry manure. We just know what it smells like. You can't avoid that. And the issue here is that for our customers, the people who buy our fertilizer, it turns out that there are real problems with organic fertilizer that exist now because of the dust and the odor. And what happens is that so we have a distributor for our fertilizer. They're a company called Wilson Industrial or Wilson Chemical Solutions, based in Indiana, and they are probably the largest fertilizer recycling company in the country. They take a number of industrial byproducts and market them into agriculture, and they're real experts in this recycling space. And they've been looking at manure-based products for decades, but haven't found something compelling until now. They're a major shareholder in PHINITE, very important part of our team. But what they find is that this fertilizer product we've produced is a real breakthrough. And what happens is they talk to co-ops, people who companies that buy and supply fertilizer into the community. And they say to them, look, we've got this dry phosphate product made by PHINITE. Would you be interested in talking about it? And the buyer for the co-op says, look, mate, no, look, thank you, but we're good for phosphates. We don't need any phosphates right now. We're pretty happy with that. And Wilson says, oh yeah, I understand. Would you mind if I just sent you a photo? You don't have to do any more, but let me just text you a photo and so you can see what the product looks like. So they send them the photo and then the person goes, oh my God. Yeah. This is what you are making? Yeah. They're just astounded. It is amazing. And you're telling me it doesn't smell and it's not dusty? All right, send me a sample. And then we send them a sample and then they're like, okay, let's talk. Because what happens is that most of the organic fertilizer that is used now is made from poultry manure. And the co-ops do a lot of custom spreading. Most organic fertilizer is spread by a custom spreader, not by the farmer themselves. And for the co-ops, it's really hard to get workers who want to work with organic products because they have to make more passes over the field because it's not very concentrated. Our product is one of the most concentrated organic products on the market. And also, they get covered in dust from the poultry pellets that they're spreading. And then they go home at night and they smell like poultry manure and then their kids don't want to hug them at night. Yeah. And we all know, like, it takes days for you to get that sort of smell out of your system. There's not really anything you can do about it. And then they see this product and they're like, oh my goodness, this is a solution to some major problems we have. Doesn't smell. It's not dusty. It's not a hazard or a nuisance for our employees. And our employees are making less passes over the field and they're happy to go home at night and their family's happy to see them. And so they're climbing on board to want to buy more and more of the material because it's such an innovative breakthrough in the organic fertilizer world.
And it's the point you're making there, I think is very, very clear, is that it's more acceptable to communities because you don't have the kind of pungent odors, and that's what they're kind of used to. So when we started the show today and talking about this, I know folks who were listening and going, what? No odor? And that may be one of the biggest pieces that folks remember out of this show is all of a sudden hog sludge now doesn't have that odor. We're fixing to go to close. We've got about 30 seconds here. I'll give you time to anything you need to add.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time today. What I'd like to do is say we're really here to help the community. We want to help farmers be sustainable, help continue to produce healthy food for their families and for the community. And so I appreciate the time today. And if you're interested in learning more, give us a shout.
Absolutely. And thank you for being with us. We always look forward for innovative things and innovative ideas. So you have an open door and you can call me anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. And also thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully something is in this that will help you. You might be able to call Jordan, or you might be able to refer a friend to him and see if there's a fit there for you. We look forward to seeing you again right here. And as always, may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.